Hello everyone, my name is Bakus, and today I'm going to be making a beginner-friendly guide to Factorio. And this is going to be a beginner guide because I'm going to be basically covering every single item that the player initially starts with when starting a new Vanilla Fresh game. So I'm going to be talking about the basic stuff. I'm going to be showing you guys how to use these items because I've seen a lot of new players come to the game where they just don't really know what to start. They don't really know what stuff does what. This is going to be a pretty basic tutorial. I'm not going to make any fancy setups. I'm just going to make stuff that technically works, and I'll let you guys figure it out on your own from there. But that being said, if you guys find this video useful, or you enjoy the content that I'm making, or my voice, or whatever, consider leaving the video a like, and if you've enjoyed my other tutorials or something like that, and this is not your first video, consider subscribing. You guys know I'm a YouTuber, I have to ask this kind of stuff, so let's go and get that out of the way now. This is a pretty brief tutorial, but this should cover everything that you should need to know to start playing the game and begin your Factorio journey. I have plenty of other tutorials as you progress in the game, doing oil, or if you want to mess with robots and stuff like that, or trains. If you need those tutorials, of course, you can check out my channel, and those will be there for you. Other than that, though, hopefully you guys enjoy this tutorial, and let's go ahead and get right into it. The gun shoots things. You can hold space, and you'll shoot stuff. Ammo is what's used for it, and armor just makes it so that you take less damage. The resistances are shown, I believe, the two numbers down there where it says 0/20. For acid, for example, 0% of damage is reduced from players, and 20% of damage is reduced whenever you're getting hit by acid from, like, say, a robot. The next thing that we're going to be covering that we use is going to be the burner mining drill. If you place it on something that can be mined, you'll see the yellow arrow. That yellow arrow is the direction in which the items that it makes will be output. And once it's fueled, it will burn the fuel and use that fuel to create iron ore. And as you can see, the iron ore on the ground here is exactly where that arrow is. And if we pick it up, it'll go and plant another one once it's done. So that's how the basic burner mining drill works. Things that can be placed usually have arrows that showcase where exactly it's going to output, so that's pretty useful. A stone furnace basically is going to be what smelts ores. If we take the iron ore that we got from our mining drill earlier and we give it a piece of coal, we'll see that it is smelting the iron into iron plates so we can use to make stuff. So that's what we use these stone furnaces for. And of course you can have them work together with the mining drill to have the output from the mining drill go directly into the furnace, and it will automatically smelt stuff. So that's a good starter to making something a little automatic. And another thing that you can do, if you mine coal with a mining drill and you put them like this, mining drills, these burner ones, actually have a pretty unique property, where if you hold Control and left click drag, you pull out all of the materials inside them as they get them. Fortunately, we can actually take the coal out of them, but the coal, if they get fueled into each other, as these mining drills are, actually goes into the fuel section, so they automatically fuel themselves, which is pretty convenient. So that's going to be what we're going to leave these two things here to do. We're just going to give them a little bit of fuel, and we'll let them gather coal for us. Alright, the next thing on our list is going to be these crates. These crates are pretty cool. Whenever you place them on the ground, they're 1 tile large and they hold this much stuff. This is great for clearing your inventory if you need to. The iron chest holds more than the wooden chest, but it's a crate technically, so I guess there's that. And if we actually, you can actually output directly into them, of course, because if you put a drill there and you give it some fuel, you'll find that it outputs directly into the crate instead of onto the ground or another drill. So this can be useful for a few things. I usually use this in the early game, specifically for mining stone, where I'll line up a few drills around it on top of a stone deposit, and it'll carry all the stone for me. That's usually what I use that type of method for. The next thing that we're going to cover on the list is going to be transport belts. These transport belts effectively just move items from one place to another. So, for example, if we have something outputting onto it by putting the little arrow there, you'll see that as the coal gets made, it's going to slide across this belt all the way until the end where it can't move. And the next item we are going to be having is going to be the burner and regular inserter. The burner inserter actually just takes coal and burns it to use as fuel. You see that has a little fuel thing here, and it's fueling itself with coal. So if we also put a chest here so it can output into it, we can see that this thing will be grabbing, and we can actually mouse over to see the line on the top here, right here, is where it is grabbing from. The arrow, as with everything else, is where it is outputting to. So we have a little thing here that'll take this coal off the belt and put it into a chest. It's gonna be pretty useful for a few things, but the regular inserter, this one here, is the exact same thing, except it uses electricity instead of using coal to power itself. So we don't have electricity yet, at least I don't right now. So they're basically the exact same thing, except they require electricity. And to give them power, once you have electricity, all you need to do is place a power line nearby, but we'll get more into that later. The next thing that we're going to be making is a repair pack. So repair packs are pretty useful. If you get attacked by aliens and one of your items is damaged, you can take this repair pack into your hand and hold left click onto an item to repair it. It has a certain amount of durability that it can repair, so just keep that in mind. So we're going to cover a few more all back to back because this is going to make a little system for us. So the first one we're going to cover is the water pump. This water pump can only be placed on water, and it'll show you exactly where it can be placed and in the orientation that it can be placed because it automatically orients itself. So you just pick the side that you want it to be on and you can place it down. We also have pipes. These pipes basically just fill themselves with the fluid that they can. Going off of this, we're going to be filling them with water. And we also have the boiler. The boiler is going to take water, and you can actually see the inputs right here for water and the outputs here for steam. And so it's going to take this water and turn it into steam, but it requires fuel to do so. And you can see on the right the stats where it's going to be consuming 60 water per second, and it's going to be outputting steam at the same rate. And we have finally the steam engine. The steam engine consumes steam and makes electricity. So now we can make electricity. And we can finally cover the radar once I get the iron for that. So radars, once placed, will randomly scan 1 square of territory after a specific amount of time. And it's a pretty slow process, but they are used to basically automatically scout around you to detect stuff. And if you actually press and grab your radar and you see at the top right at the mini-map, there's currently a blue square. That blue square basically indicates where it grants vision of. So for example right now, if I were to press M and I were to go to these parts on the map, you'll see that I can't actually zoom in. If I try zooming in, it'll let me zoom into here, but it won't let me see past that. That's because that's my character's like field of view, quote unquote. So I can zoom in over here, but I can also zoom in down here, which is much, much farther. That's because that's the radar's line of sight. The radar does grant full line of sight in the blue square that it indicates here. So that can be something that can be useful if you want to see stuff from across the map for reasons. Alrighty, as we're starting to wind down towards the last few items, I'm going to go ahead and start building a small little thing just to kind of show the players a little bit of what we've worked on and what we've learned together with these new items that we've made. But one of the last things we're going to be covering is the electric mining drill. Now that we have electricity, we can make sure that we have the power placed down, because as long as our poles are attached, it'll carry our electricity wherever we want it to, and it powers what's inside that blue square. So for example, if I place an inserter here, it's not going to have power. If I place the inserter here, it will have power and it'll work as a regular inserter. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're running power. So now that this is in power, it'll start moving items as it normally would. Very nice. So now what we can do is we can run our items out here, we can place down an inserter, and we can put down, say, a furnace and give it coal, and now we have a fully electric setup. The only thing that we have to do now is fuel our furnace. So that's pretty good. And now, that pretty much covers the vast majority of stuff except for some intermediates. This is basically just showing the recipes for things. For example, whenever you want to craft, say, a steam engine, it's going to require gear wheels. Well, gear wheels are here. Intermediate products are basically stuff that's just used to craft other stuff except for the science packs. So the science pack here is what we're going to be using to research stuff, which we can open that menu by pressing T and selecting the automation research as our first. And basically, once you've created yourself a lab, you just put it underneath a spot that has electric power, and you take these red circuits that are made with the automation science pack intermediate, and you just drop it in, and it'll start to do research for you and push you towards your next goal. So that pretty much covers the everything as far as like functionally what the items do at the very beginning of the game. So you want to make sure that you, of course, are powering your electricity consistently because it needs water or needs coal to run. But that should cover the bare bones basics as to what everything the starting player gets in Factorio. Thank you for watching.